Evening all. Welcome along to the 27th Challenge Cup final. Tournament first played a year later than its big brother, the one we'll enjoy here tomorrow. Bourgoin, the first winners, 1997. They beat Castres in an all-French final. We are guaranteed new winners at the end of all this, a new name on the trophy. Will it be Glasgow? On the biggest night in their history, into their first ever European final. What a story of Franco Smith's previously unfancied Warriors get to win it. Lock JP Dupree, the only one amongst this lot who isn't a test player. He's preferred as a starter to Richie Gray. Matt Fagerson gets the nod ahead of Rory Darge. Every single one of this backline is an international, including Carl Steyn. Skippering from the wing, Argentina's Domingo Miotti gets to influence affairs at 10. It would almost certainly have been Tom Jordan, but for his red card in the URC quarter-final against Munster. George Horn at 9, playing his 99th game for the club. And at alongside, maybe not quite so jam-packed with the Galacticos they used to have, but they still got enough. Charles Olivon, free to lead his side after the red card he was shown early on in the semi-final was rescinded. He and Sergio Parisse are both skippered their countries, and Glasgow will remember Brian Alano-Essi charging around for them. Like the Warriors, Toulon can muster an all-international 9 to 15. Dan Biggers the 10 after his mid-season switch from Northampton. Cheslin Colby at fullback tonight is a World Cup winner, Champions Cup winner a few years back. Villiers, Viningolo, Paya Awa and Nayathalevu will offer their ever-present threat. And both sides have a set of replacements who they hope can bend the final their way in the latter stages. Glasgow with their usual 6-2 split again. Ali Price and Stafford McDowell providing the backs cover. Mathieu Bastereau used to be a back, but he's now one of Toulon's forwards, down to do a job in the back row later. Carl Steyn, the captain. Behind him, Fraser Brown, 32-year-old, a decade at the club. JP Dupree, a pinch yourself moment for Glasgow. It's players, it's coaches, everybody who works back of house, and of course the supporters. How far these Warriors have come, and here they are, walking out into a first ever European final. Toulon as well, famous European colours, famous European history. Champions Cup winners all those times with all those names, but they've never won this. Cheslin Colby, a Champions Cup winner with Toulouse a couple of years ago, carrying all his threat from fullback this evening. And actually looking for their first trophy since 2015, since they beat Clermont in the Champions Cup final that day at Twickenham. Here they are, in a Friday night final for a record 5th time. High time, they will tell us. They won one. Well beaten by Lyon in Marseille a year ago, but Glasgow just the second Scottish side to ever get this far. Edinburgh pushed into the 2015 final at the Stoop before they lost to Gloucester. So the prize for Glasgow today, not that, although that'll be worth taking home in the hand luggage if you can squeeze it in. But the prize, a first ever European trophy. Wayne Barnes, 3rd time in charge of one of these Challenge Cup finals, 2012 and 2019 previously. Jaco Paper, South African, will have the big one tomorrow. Chris Busby from Ireland, Craig Evans from Wales with the flags. TMO will be Ben Whitehouse.
Which way,
Dan Bigger will kick off for Toulon. A Friday night in Dublin, a combination that usually delivers. And the 2023 Challenge Cup final. Glasgow and Toulon both in it to win it for the first time. Toulon in the darker strip, Glasgow in the blue. And the catch for Sione Tuipulotu.
And use it.
And George Horn, 99th game as a Warrior, and walloped safely up to halfway. Two men who know all about these big European finals, Brian O'Driscoll and Ben Kay standing alongside.
Not now.
Yeah, great to be here, really exciting. to see two attacking sides full of intent. Just managed to see a rarity, a Glasgow kick. They kick less than anyone else in this competition. We're expecting them to want plenty of possession.
And that taken by Charles Olivon. Scrap for the ball. Teddy Bourbougnoux determinedly holds on to it. Baptiste Surin. Little imp of a scrum half. Beautifully controlled the semi-final when Toulon were down to 14 with expert kicking. It's not normally their game. They, like Glasgow, like to run it around a bit, play some riffs off the cuff. But Surin will kick for territory when needed. Cancellieri came in and looked like he was knocked off the ball by Gabin Villiers, but Wayne Barnes, arms outstretched, said, let's get on with it. And Bourbougnoux does.
It's a surprise that certainly his eyes were on the ball, Cancellieri.
Bigger. Running into Jamie Batty. Paya Awa. First big early thumps are French thumps. Bigger's down with a little bit of a leg issue, it would seem, but he got back on his feet quickly enough, Ben, to make the tackle.
Yeah, he's brave, but he stayed down again. This is a big concern for Toulon.
Glasgow 10 is Domingo Miotti. And now Stain. And Parisse. Got half a glove on him. Miotti. Fagerson. Ooh, lovely away from Jones, and that was beautiful. Through the legs from Fraser Brown, the hooker. Remember Glasgow's quick start to their semi-final. They held on to the ball for the first 3 minutes before scoring the opening try against the Scarlets. That was a purposeful, powerful start that set the tone, and they're trying to do likewise here, but now some defending with Giuta, Waningolo, and finally the whistle, and finally we can all take breath, Brian.
Sure is, it's frenetic, it's end-to-end, but some really great passages of play from both teams. Great turnover from Villiers there. Initially, really good play from Glasgow, trying to get to the width. You'll see that an awful lot over the course of the game. They're like a sevens team, even through the legs. But then watch this, red scrum cap. He is one of the best advocates of the turnover from a wing position. It doesn't matter what number's on his back. He is brilliant at it. So he's going to have to be targeted early on. And what lots of teams do, they make him the tackler. Rather than allow him be the first support player in there to pinch the ball, make him make tackles. Very difficult to pinch a ball, having been the tackler.
Dan Bigger's not 100% right. I don't know what happened to him, but he certainly took a long time to get back into the game. But when he did, when Villiers made that turnover, it was Bigger that instantly saw the space out wide, tried to play to the other touchline. Here's what caused the issue.
You there, Jamie? Okay.
He's running into a combination of Jack Dempsey and Batty. Looks a little bit rattled, but still with us.
He's actually being taken off now. I think maybe they've reviewed the footage and just want to check that he's not suffered a head injury. Here, West coming on in his place.
Okay, who's in? Combien? Il y a 6, there's 6. Watch on.
That's a high-end replacement for a high-end starter. Ihaya West on for Dan Bigger. Let's hope that's only temporary. Here's Teddy Bourbougnoux. Little ball of energy. Likewise, Becca Gigashvili, hefty Georgian, star of the match in the semi-final. Scored a try against Benetton. Beyond Bourbougnoux, into the arms of Duncan Paya Awa.
Villiers looking for the ball on this blind side.
Oh, but it's the scrum half, Surin, who goes through. Trickery. Eye for adventure. Surin's boot, first try.
There's the multiple threats right across the field. We know they like to go touchline to touchline. Spread out that defensive line, spread out the gaps between defenders. And as he comes back to the other side, he just sees a little bit of a dogleg. Two front row players just stepping out of the line. That gives the dogleg. He dribbles the ball through. Just a slight question mark on the grounding. Wayne Barnes is happy that he's seen it. There is that immediate, but Wayne Barnes certainly thought he'd seen a grounding, and he was happy with it live. There's a question mark about where the tackler's arm is. Is it?
Well, despite the best efforts of Ollie Smith, Wayne Barnes has told us the try is good, and you may well have heard just then that Dan Bigg is not coming back from his head injury assessment. So good and bad news early on for Toulon. They've got the try that's been converted by Serrat, but they've lost Dan Bigger.
Yeah, this guy, you have to remember, is 42 caps for France. If there wasn't a young gentleman called Antoine Dupont on the scene, he might have an awful lot more. He was hotly tipped a number of years ago as the great white hope, and then Mr. Dupont had other ideas, but he is no doubt an exceptional footballer, very much in the Antoine Dupont mould. Just unfortunately has found himself out of the French setup because of the quality they have in situ.
Okay, don't lean on the top now, please. And jouez-le.
Clearing kick from Serrat, and a higher West on after, what, 6.5 minutes. Kiwi arrived in Toulon this season after winning the Champions Cup, you'll remember, with La Rochelle last season. So the highest of high-end replacements, but very early on in the match. Brown. Oh, and not quite. George Horn held on to it. Maybe just a little bit too long. He and Jack Dempsey not on the same wavelength. West by hour.
50-20 on.
50-22 is on, but it's rescued by Smith.
Inside. Ball live, play on.
On we go.
We're going to fight.
Colby says, let's get on with it. And then Colby chases it, and Villiers chases it. A double red-hatted threat, the two of them, the fullback and the winger. Glasgow will know when those two are motoring towards them.
Okay, you've lost now.
Right as well. Villiers is an absolute tyro at every single breakdown he's near. Happy to compete with his hands on the ball or just counter-ruck.
And use it. Take a step, please. Step behind next time, please. Hey, come back.
Chases. He has to get some traffic out of the way first, and as he tried to remove the motors.
Not on the ball.
One N'Golo came in.
No. Advantage.
Here's Naitha Levu. Another boot to ball moment. This one carrying not quite the threat, and Ollie Smith has a little bit more time to work out what he's doing.
Advantage, offside, Ojo, Cat. Yeah.
JP Dupré, sorry, Benny, he was offside.
Ojo, Cat.
Indication of Ollie Smith's
4 offside.
Intent, though. Sure, he did know that the advantage was being played to Toulon, but certainly proved his point that one-on-one he can beat anyone. Happy to do it from under his own sticks as well.
It's been some 12 months for Ollie Smith. 12 months when he became a Test player, stepped into the Six Nations for the first time as well. He's still only 22.
Massive left boot on him as well. Brilliant for exiting out of his own territory when you got the right footer on right side and have someone that can send it all of 50-odd meters, relieving pressure. But we got a sense about his attacking game as well. Huge amount of carries over the course of this Challenge Cup. He's been ever present.
Baptiste Serrat with the opening try, by the way, after 5 minutes. If you're wondering if it was the quickest try in Challenge Cup finals, not by a long way. Bristol folk in particular will remember Harry Randall's after just 15 seconds in 2020. We barely opened the Haribos, and there he was, Harry Randall scooting in. Baptiste Serrat has converted his first, nevertheless, early try, and this for a 10-0 lead. It's a still Friday evening in Dublin. So no excuses. It was from a fair way out, but it remains 7-0.
the big loss you mentioned about West coming on, but certainly Dan Biggar, that big game, big attitude.
Okay, with you now, please.
They will miss him.
His goal kicking has been excellent.
Exactly.
All of 80% since he joined the club. They're the sort of stats that any team looks for in their goal kicking 10 or other position.
Play on, backwards.
Surratt again off that left boot, took a deflection, so Smith can step back in his own time and fling it out to Domingo Miotti. Both sides early on in this final playing with 10s that they might not necessarily have wanted to start with. Certainly Glasgow would have had Tom Jordan there but for the red card. Toulon already losing Dan Biggar. How do the understudies get on? There's Toulon's West. Being held up. Brian, the try after 5 minutes.
Yeah, Glasgow hadn't done an awful lot wrong, to be honest with you. Toulon were zigzagging, but what they're going to have to do, they're going to have to work in conjunction with one another now that Serran has spotted space in the middle. Wingers are having to cover the touch lines an awful lot more, but that little nudge through, that is just pure class. Identifying the space and then having the ability to nudge it through. Was it with his left foot, gather the ball and still have enough power to get to the line, and that fight as he drove over the try line, all important. Great individual score.
Could he have had a little bit more help covering that space? George Horn was very wide, probably where he ought to have been, but Surratt saw a bag room of space.
He did, and so now they've got to be aware of that, making sure that they do play a little bit tighter. Wingers can hug the touch lines a bit further out when they're in fear of conceding a 50-22, but when they come up into their 22, they've got to play a little bit narrower, making sure they're defending with one another.
It's been a dominant Toulon scrum all season, and they're playing with the advantage there.
Number 3.
Penalty goes against them. Sander Fagerson. Interesting Toulon statistics scrum-wise, Benny. 1 in every 3 scrums leads to a penalty, which indicates the pressure they put through.
Weapon, and it will give them field position here. And it was actually quite a cheap scrum that they got, because a few boos you might have heard around the ground. Glasgow kicking direct to the player and then holding him up because it's come direct from a kick, and it's seen as the kicking side kicking away possession. It's an automatic put into the side receiving the ball, and then if you're Toulon, you fancy yourself in these situations. You can just see Fagerson rolling in, that right shoulder a little bit long in the legs, a little bit feet too far away from the hips, and he can't maintain the balance under the pressure from Parisse.
Taken by Mathieu Tanguy. Played over 100 times for La Rochelle during his time with them, and Cornel de Prier as well. Scotland back rower back in the day, not so long ago. Paya Awa. Threat of Paya Awa and Naitha Levu. And West pops it up for Wanigolo.
And away! Ball lifted a long time.
Bobigny.
And tackle!
Beyond Parisse. Not mentioned the great man much yet. He goes in there to do some clear-out work. West, Paya Awa. Domingo Miotti doing what he can to hold on to him.
Very, very narrow Toulon, apart from Villiers, who's hiding on his haunches, just trying to stay out of the way, stay hidden, and keeping the width on the touchline.
West, Colby. Oh, a lovely floated ball to Villiers, and here he is. He's got a lot of sky blue shirts to get beyond, and now it's a loose ball and it's been won back. I think it was Scott Cummings, who's got a long way to go down, who did it quicker than anybody else. Brilliant work from the second row forward. And Horn completes the clearing job.
It was excellent attacking play initially from Toulon. Their quality of passing has been a real point of difference. But it was a double effort from Hugh Jones, I think, and Kyle Steyn managed to shove Villiers in, and Villiers hadn't had enough then. He then immediately got into counter-ruck mode, thinking the ball was still in play, which it was. He is not for taking it easy on either side of the ball.
Villiers doesn't like to die with it. We've already seen him getting tackled and immediately trying to throw the offload, not particularly accurately, just hoping that one of his players will be in support. It's an opportunity for Glasgow every time he gets the ball. to cover on his inside shoulder.
It's meant for Olivon. Dupree got up to make life a little bit scruffy. Oh, and then another break from Surratt, and he gives it to Alano Essi.
Off blue! Off blue, I've got.
Villiers. Looked like ball lost forward, but it came off a blue hand, we heard Wayne Barnes tell us, so Becca Gigashvili can continue to ask the question. It's a Glasgow ball now.
Stay that.
Cerny Vailanu digging away well.
Knock on advantage. Forwards wait.
Miotti.
Advantage over, kicks
Just
away
having
under
a
no
little look
pressure.
at that Serran break. He is so good at attacking defenders around the breakdown who tend to be bigger and slower,
Okay,
because
no
he
more.
goes and then he stops. And that moment of hesitation takes all the momentum out of the bigger defenders. He'll always beat them for footwork off
Okay.
a standing start. But he's so good at recognising those bigger defenders in and around the breakdown and manipulating them with his footwork. Starting to go, stop, as soon as they're off balance, he cuts back and they can't recover.
Wait, do that.
Charles Olivon's red card early on for the high tackle on Matteo Minozzi in the semi-final. Knocked down to a yellow the following week, so here he is. And here goes Surratt. When he first burst onto the scene, Brian, you mentioned it a few years back. We thought, well, here's a bloke who's going to play 100 times for France.
He's got such an edge to him as well. Physical, uncompromising, but really narky as well, exactly as you would anticipate. Lots of good nines being.
Now here goes Sergio. He's not had much of the ball yet, so he wants to make the most of it. It was one of those runs to set things up. West, another beautiful fizzing past Villiers, and then Colby with the kick, but into touch.
Charles Oliver does a really good job here, because it's a poor pass, it's drifting away from him. Goes right, has to reach, and then pulls it right back. That preserves the space on the outside, and Glasgow do a brilliant job of shutting the gate with their cover in behind. Zilieri comes over, makes a really important tackle.
He actually does a brilliant job, Ben, because he's actually going for the second to last man, and the next thing, it gets flashed across the front of him. He's able to change and pivot his position, accelerating really hard, looking for an impact, and then making a side-on tackle.
That's a scruffy old line out. Corbigny was hunting around, and Toulon have the advantage, and this could be very costly. Surratt to Parisse! Big try scored by a big player. He's milking every moment in one of these big arenas. Not many of these nights left for Parisse, and he scores Toulon's second.
Great analysis of what's in front from scrum half Serran again. Everyone expecting Alan Oasi with all his power after this turnover from the line out. They go through, Aubigné wins it on the floor. Now everyone's expecting the big frame of Alan Oasi to get it. Tui Pilotto steps out of the line, thinking it's going to the big second row. It's flashed across his face, and Parisse one-on-one's always going to win that collision on an outside arc. Gets through, cuts inside Hugh Jones. And that little disconnect with Tui Pilotto, convinced the ball's going to the inside man, gives the dog leg. And man of Parisse's intelligence, experience and skill levels always going to get over the line.
Oh, the great Sergio, 40 in September. He retires at the end of the season. And he was saying before the match that he's determined to remember the sights and the sounds and the smells of tonight. A wonderful interview with James Weil. Find that on Planet Rugby this week, when he talked about what tonight would mean. Looks for all the world like he's not going to go to the World Cup. Kieran Crowley and he have had a sit down, and it looks as if his test career is over. His club career is over at the end of the season. And that's a huge moment for one of the best players of his generation.
Arguably any generation. You know, he's a world-class player, played on an Italian team that more often than not was coming off second best, but still had the ability to shine in every single test performance when he pulled that jersey on.
He's spanned 2 generations, hasn't he, with his career?
Smith. hot stepping. Miotti. Oh, now Cancellieri, chip through, chased by Horn. Oh, he got the kick to it. Might yet work, but it was Villiers who got back.
Yeah, Horn gambles, comes back down the blind side. Toulon have already got enough numbers there, but how they manufacture this, it's brilliant from Violanu. Just steps in, tempts those bodies to step in and tackle him. That creates the space on the outside, and Horn, like all good scrum halves, chasing the kick back on the inside. Beautiful weight to it from Cancellieri. Little chip over the top, and for all intents and purposes, Chesson Colby's beaten. Goes high, bit of contact there.
We've name-checked him a lot already, but Villiers, his work rate from being guard on that last ruck, chasing back, if he doesn't do that, and that ball is nudged through, that's going to be a score, whereas his ability to work for his team is exceptional.
Horn. Glasgow just beginning to bang a few drums of their own. Stain, as they need to, having conceded 2 tries in the first quarter. We're going to have a chat with Glasgow coach Pete Horn in a minute or two. Let's have a chat with Pete now. What's going on, Pete? What are the headline thoughts in your mind right now?
Oh, look, we're struggling to get a foothold in the game at the moment. I think Toulon have done really well. They've starved us of possession. They've played the game right down in our half, and a lot of the time when we are getting the ball, we're just kind of looking to exit. So, look, we just need to get a hold of the ball and look after it. Again, we've just been turned over there. Finally got a little bit of possession and been turned over straight away. So, big job to do at the breakdown.
Brian O'Driscoll was having another look at Suran's first try. Defensively, were you all where you needed to be for that moment?
Oh, look, I think George and Ollie could have worked a little bit better together. Just George's kind of closed a little early, and Ollie could have sort of plugged that gap. But we're not far away, to be honest. That's a bit of genius by Suran, and he's done really well to score it. Attacking-wise,
Pete, what are we looking for from your boys? What are you hoping to get on the pitch that we've not seen yet?
A couple of times, if we just held our feet, we could have probably played round them there. They've done really well, getting kind of shooting up in those wide channels. We spoke a bit about holding our feet and getting around them. So we're not far away. Like we said, we're fully confident if we can get the ball in a bit of field position, we'll cause them a lot of trouble.
I know you've talked about that this week, hoping that they might play like individuals sometimes, particularly in defence.
Yeah, absolutely. They're a star-studded team. You know, they've got some of the best players in the world playing. So, you know, their coach obviously gives them that responsibility to go out and make these sorts of decisions. So, look, we've just got to be aware of that and be ready to capitalise on it. You know, you can turn that into a strength of your own.
Pete, I know you got your hands full. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Rest still, no. Stay up.
Just look at that ruck speed over the course of the tournament. Glasgow have comfortably had the quickest ruck speed, but not today. Under 3 seconds for Toulon. They just are chasing shadows at the moment. They've got to be more consistent and contest more at ruck time to slow that down, get their defensive wall set.
Oh, it's worrying as well that they're starting to creak a little in the scrum. They absolutely need parity at least in the set piece. Glasgow, it's cost them a try already off a line-out that went loose, and a scrum where everyone needed to dig in just then.
And use it!
Horn, chased by Olivon. Parisse claimed it.
Tackle, let go!
Interesting, Villiers so far back for that to receive that kick. We just trust the likes of Olivon and Parisse to be able to run traffic, and if the ball's short, to be able to pick up those catches as well. And real high-level skill set in that back row for Toulon.
Suran immediately put his hands up to apologise.
Stick them on the line.
Sure what he was hoping to achieve there was relatively well covered in the backfield. He won't want to see that one again. Not only was it really a great option, execution very poor. Immediately knew as soon as he'd hit it, it was way off.
Glasgow shortening this line out, putting Violanu right out in the outside centre channel, but they can't hit their man.
Oh, it's another one that's gone loose, and Olivon looking to capitalise, and Alano Essie and West and Paya Awa and Nyatha-Levu and lots of big names combining, which is bad news for Glasgow. Nyatha-Levu takes it up almost to the line. Paya Awa scoops it up that close. Suran goes on his own, gets 3. It's already a long, long way back for Glasgow.
Yeah, and the set piece is killing them. Not only the scrum, which gives the position, but also the line-out. Don't quite hit it. They put Violanu out in that outside centre channel to be a ball carrier. They don't want him there as a defender. But the overthrow, Olivon does the right thing. That narrows up the defence and means the defenders from the line-out can't get round the corner quickly. And that means Violanu has a big open gap opening up between him and Steyn.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Really nice
Nayathalabu bursts through it, and then it's always going to be trouble from there. And Serran again, just lethal on those fringes. Xander Fagerson still getting up from the last breakdown, can't get into the guard position. They're short of numbers on the touchline, and it just makes it easy for someone with the intelligence of Serran.
The celebration from Pierre Mignoni, who knows a thing or two about scrum half play himself, and celebrating the bloke who's down on the pitch. Frustration, fury in the face of Franco Smith.
It was also excellent from Nayathalabu as well. It was everyone was crabbing across the field a little bit too much, needed someone to straighten it, and no better man than the big 13. Hit the ball back on the inside shoulder, straightened everything up. The defence had to respect that and chase backwards, but didn't have enough to be able to cover Sarah on that snipe.
Oh, it's been a horrible start for Glasgow to this final. Glasgow 0, Toulon 21.
As Bryce just said, that step off the right just to straighten on the inside shoulder of Steyn, who wants to stay out because of the threat of Colby. Just that straighten up and using the fend on the slower defender coming across, and then Serran, we've already mentioned about his threat around the base.
Nice fight.
Miotti slapped the restart long, so Glasgow will have a line out just inside the 10-metre line.
Relieving kick as well. He was caught right down on his own try line. I was wondering whether he was going to hedge his bets and let that one bounce, have it bounce over try line or over the dead ball line. He caught it, and then a huge relieving kick.
Big line out this, Benny.
Yeah, they need to win this. Secure it. Violanu in at scrum half this time, potentially for the drive, but to pop out. And they want this man carrying hard. He's been the one that has been able to dent the line so far for Glasgow, Dempsey.
The man who won the line out, all 6'10" of him, JP Dupree and Smith. Let's see if Glasgow can play some attacking tunes. Here's Batty. Dempsey. Two top try scorers in this season's competition. They don't always meet in the final,
offside,
but they are tonight. The try scoring so
George,
far, however,
penalty
been
advantage offside.
done by just the one side. Glasgow with the advantage. Here's Smith. Oh, that's nice. Fagerson crunching a few holes. Beyond Dupree. Batty. Nice position this. Horn goes to the right. A little bit of a delay. Miotti. Ball needed protecting. It was. First time with the ball in hand that Glasgow have made it into Toulon's 22, and they're, what, over 10 metres away from the try line with Brown. Oh, and then Violanu, but back for the penalty.
They'll get the penalty. It's much, much better. Wave after wave of players being able to win the collision, not burst through, but just win that collision and give them the platform. What they need to recognise, and maybe the coaches will get this message on, is their sweep back plays down the blind side. Toulon know that's coming. They're over-indexing, over-resourcing the blind side. When Glasgow hits the middle and then come back down the short side, there's a big black wall there. There may be opportunities to go the same way.
Line's yours, Lily.
21-0 down. There was only one choice there. They couldn't look at taking the three-pointer. They have to look at a seven-pointer here, get themselves back in the game and build some confidence, because they're a team that they know they could score a huge amount of tries if they get enough possession.
They had Carl Steyn in that line-out, as they so often do. Throwing a big tall back up there, and it was Steyn who won it. And here's Batty. Dempsey. What a season he has had. Jones. Tried to get the offload out of the challenge of Naitha Levu. But still Glasgow and Brown.
En avant, knock on.
Another opportunity goes. Parisse, West.
Advantage over, kicked away.
He half thought about being ambitious and
Ball still
in
live.
the end gave it a wallop.
Ball still live.
Another Glasgow attack falls
Ball
just
still
short.
live.
Just a bit of inaccuracy, isn't there,
Ball
from
still live.
the Glasgow players? Just a
Not
few
now.
balls dislodged in the contact at the moment. Drops into one hand, tries to get that left arm fend out, but leaves the ball open to a shoulder.
It was the assist tackler, wasn't it? It was Dupree's on that occasion. Wasn't the initial contact, but it was a follow-through from the outside defender who dislodged the ball. Didn't see that collision coming.
More.
Taken by Cummings, beyond 100 games as a Warrior now.
Say more.
Fraser Brown,
Reculate! Reculate!
decade at the club as well.
That's once, George.
George Horn told that
No,
the
now,
next time he
Danny,
needs
get
to get
out.
on with it.
Okay, use it!
Sieni Vailano goes in, lays it back to the scrum half. Miotti and Jones, well, he was hoping to reconnect with Miotti, didn't quite work, and Stain sweeping up. Once again, it's Villiers who's gone in there. Doesn't come up with anything from his latest mining trip. Milano Essi over the ball, different type of player. Oh my goodness, and Paya Awa took a fearful clobbering there as he collided with Tuipulotu.
Ball is live.
It's just all a bit overprescribed from Glasgow at the moment. What a shot. Too uncompromising ball carrier and defender going at it. Still manages to get the kick away, and Colby has it.
He has to be checked for his head injury there. He has to come off. The medic's already on with him, having a look, but clear contact. We all heard the collision from up here to the side of the head. Looks like they're not making that decision yet, but that will get checked by the independent medics on the sideline.
Oh, sorry.
Early start for the Premier League footballers on BT Sport tomorrow. We're on air at 11:30 for Spurs against Brentford, and that'll warm you up nicely for the big one back here tomorrow afternoon. Leinster and La Rochelle, repeat of last season's Champions Cup final, and all the brilliant storylines that'll come with it. BT Sport 2 from 4, and then next Sunday the showpiece conclusion to the English domestic season. Will all be at Twickenham for the Gallagher Premiership final, first against second at the end of the regular season. Saracens against Sale, BT Sport 1 from 2. And Jeremy Sonzal is coming on while Duncan Paya Awa heads off to be checked. Brownie gave that everything. Set piece hurting Glasgow at the moment. It was ambitious, but it wasn't quite accurate enough. Toulon with hands in the air and now running it with Wainigolo. Virginia has been running in tries all season, half a dozen in the Challenge Cup. And that will work for Glasgow.
Well, they'll get away with it. They've got to sort this line out. Parisse, maybe a little bit of contact in the air, but because the ball was up in the air so long, here's the kick. Just too much on it, too close to the touchline when he releases it. But Parisse did have a little bit of hands at the back of that line out on Ferguson. The referee just saying, I thought it was a good contest, and part of that is how long the ball's in the air. Gives Parisse a target. That was much better.
Brought down very quickly by Ferguson. Snap back. Brown.
Advantage.
Horn. Glasgow
Advantage.
Penalty as Tuipulotu goes underneath the radar.
Penalty
Brown.
advantage for the collapse. Advantage.
Just to his
penalty advantage too.
Left, but it won't be for Ferguson beyond him. No, it is. Dempsey. Australian Tartan, Wallaby number 8, turned Scotland number 8 this season. It's Ferguson who lays it back. Miotti, and the other Ferguson, Xander Ferguson, a couple of years older than his kid brother. Dupree. Starting to mention Jack Dempsey's name a little bit more and more. which is a
there,
positive for Glasgow.
You got
second penalty.
Sorry, you got
Miotti just came in and sat on the player on the wrong side and gave Wayne Barnes no choice but to give the penalty. They'd already given away one for the collapsing wall, so they're going to take that one closer to the touchline, which suggests they're going to kick it into the corner.
Serron, again, that man is doing a great job on the extremity, as we see so many nines defending, coming up, trying to scare the opposition into going back inside, not throw that long pass, exactly where Glasgow are trying to get to the width.
Set up good.
A good sevens team, passing, and then running as good support players when their X-factor players get the ball out wide.
It's a brilliant kick to the corner, right where the forwards want it. Their last drive was excellent. They got an immediate punch.
Over the top nicely to pick out JP Dupree. Now this is a moment. Watch the bats all fly in. Steyn lays it back to Xander Fagerson. Look out for Scott Cummings. He, in the end, feels he has to go in and do some digging to win that ball back. So Fraser Brown becomes one of the favourites. Maybe Vailanu. Horn now gives it some width. And a peep of Wayne Barnes' whistle.
Neither am I. He's watching on here.
They're celebrating that Toulon. They know it's a massive game. I think they're fortunate. I think from the initial drive,
George,
there's the knock-on that comes in, but
he's in the best position. Knock on
a couple of times at the breakdown, they were very fast on the player before he'd picked it up, not on the one where the knock-on was given away. Parisse on the initial drive came in at the side, collapsed it just as Glasgow rolled round the front. But you make your own luck. They're combative, and they're in the face of Glasgow, and Glasgow are making mistakes.
It's actually a decision made by Craig Evans. He was in the best position. You probably heard the conversation that Wayne Barnes had.
It's actually quite a frustrating one. No one's really at fault because the ball player on the ground is trying to control it, making sure that no one kicks the ball as they're rooking over the top of it, but then the next person to pick it up, they're almost fighting against one another as he tries to carry forward. That controlling player knocks him off kilter and unfortunately results in the knock-on we saw. Very frustrating from Glasgow because it feels as though they're very close, and one score, if they could get something before half-time, I think that's all important to give them the energy to go in half-time, to come out and turn things around in the second 40.
No side has ever been scoreless at half-time in one of these Challenge Cup finals, and Glasgow pressing hard here.
The biggest moment. They cannot afford to give away an easy penalty for Toulon to clear their lines. Scrum hasn't been going well. They need to hold out here. Even if Toulon do clear, they can't give them a cheap penalty to clear and get the line out.
Horn shepherding Surra, and we'll go again.
Just a bit of movement. Control on set.
Teddy Bourbon.
He also has to take that head. No, it doesn't. You've got to be control.
Look at those numbers. Glasgow are usually the most efficient team in Europe, but 0 points from 5 entries. That's so uncharacteristic of them, but a huge amount of that has to go down to ferocious defence from this Toulon outfit.
I don't know whether this even exists, Brian, but are Glasgow at the moment suffering from a bit of final sickness?
I don't know if that's even a thing, to be honest with you. Sometimes you can find a reason on the big occasion that a team isn't performing. I think you have to often look at the opposition and look at what they're doing against them. I think this Toulon defence has been outstanding. Their set piece has been uncompromising, have not given them any platform to be able to play their usual game. So I think a huge amount of kudos has to be given to Toulon rather than negative from a Glasgow point of view.
I think they need to start using Tuli Pelotto more, because at the moment he's running those hard decoy lines back against the grain, and it's so obvious that it's going to go behind him and not be used. Toulon are just drifting. I think they could shock Toulon by using him occasionally and just keep that black wall defensive line honest and not drifting too early, and that will preserve the space in the wider channel.
So far so good though for Guzema, Toulon's DOR.
Keep
high. Did great things when he was with Clermont. Here's Wynegolo.
Keep high.
Did great things when he was with Clermont. Here's Wynegolo. Flings it back inside. Parisse.
trying to put it to bed early, running from their own line. A lot of defenders back, really good cover from scrum half, the speed off the base. We know how quick he is, and Horn gets across just as enough.
Okay.
They'll get one more shot.
Important intervention from Dempsey as well, just getting his hand in between Parisse as he was trying to catch the ball, dislodging it, and one last, well, perhaps another couple of opportunities before the half-time break, but Glasgow launch play has been very effective this year, and as you said,
crouch
to Pilato, whether he's a decoy runner or a ball carrier, they have to stick the defenders on the inside to create the space out wide, which they haven't managed to do so far in this game.
Just put Stain up as first receiver, to Pilato alongside him.
Here he is. That's gone forwards as well. A lot of untied knots at the moment.
Back we come then, knock on.
Yeah, Tui Pilato, we saw this for Scotland during the Six Nations, the blind pass. He was looking for the short runner. Hugh Jones, one of the best hole runners in the game. I don't know if he was fully anticipating it. He got a little clip on the way through, and maybe that was enough to throw him off kilter a little bit. But at least they're trying to go through this Toulon team a bit more. It hasn't worked trying to go around, showing deception and then trying to get out the back. They've got to carry directly and get Toulon on the back foot, which they haven't managed to do so far.
To the 40th minute. Challenge Cup final on a dry, mild Dublin Friday night.
Keep high.
That's a good scrum. What a moment to bring out your first really dominant shove, and he's gone. Oh.
They've got to go again. They just have to play quick and fast rather than think launch. They've got to just try and tire this Toulon team out, play the phase game that they know they're capable of. They're opting for a scrum, having gotten the ascendancy on that one. They're backing themselves. Oh, it was a little bit of a lottery, depending on what happens in that hit. But nonetheless, a great attacking opportunity. Two men sitting in behind, two on either side. Wait to see which side of the scrum they get up, and that makes you form your decision as to which side you attack.
Ferguson just won the punch there, didn't he? Got under Parisse.
Rest down, no.
In between
Crouch.
the loose head and Bourbonnier, and just managed to pop his opposite number up. Can he do the same again? Batty's not happy on the other side.
Let's go.
From the Scotland international,
Don't stand
Al
up.
Dickinson.
Give yourself
who is
space.
not on coach's row at the moment. That's Nigel Carolan, the attack coach, having a chat with Franco Smith, defence coach Pete Murchie on the far side, and closest to us, Greg Woolard, the performance analyst.
Crouch.
But, Al Dickinson will be somewhere, and he'll have enjoyed that last moment.
Bind.
The centre field scrum, usually it should favour the right-hand side because of Serran's position on that left-hand side of the scrum, and Hawaii West should be the one that should be targeted here, whether it's Hugh Jones runs short on him, but they got to get a square scrum first of all.
Batty went quickly there. He won against Ferguson, but having got that left shoulder up, just continued chasing with his hips around the side rather than driving straight through. Wayne Barnes gives the short arm free kick, so Glasgow will take another scrum. Fascinating battle developing on this side of it between Ferguson and Parisse.
Equilib. Balance. Balance. Crouch. Bind.
Scotland's first choice tight head over 50 test, Xander Ferguson up against Danny Parisse. And Horn runs towards us, gets it away nicely. Miotti and then Cancellieri chasing through, and West made a little bit of a meal of it. But did in the end the job that he needed to do. And Glasgow's first ever European final has been a challenging, frustrating one so far. The opening 40 minutes, Toulon, very, very good. 3 tries. And Baptiste Serin looks in a little bit of bother. Now that's a developing story that we will bring to you at half-time with Martin and the gang. Yeah, problems for Serin, but he was one of the star players in that first 40. A couple of tries from him, sandwiched around another from the great Sergio Parisse. Half-time in Dublin, work for Glasgow to do. Glasgow 0, Toulon 21. Well, Toulon 21 points to the good, but a bag full of problems to deal with at half-time. He's on Mathieu Bastereau for Gabin Villiers, who's failed a head injury assessment at half-time. So has Duncan Paya-Awa. So Jeremy Sonzel will stay with us. And Benoit Payog has come on for Baptiste Serin. So as much as Toulon are 3 tries to the good, they've had a lot of administration to deal with in that short half-time break.
What a nightmare having to play a number 8 in the centres. What's he know about centre play, Bastereau?
Yeah, Mathieu Bastereau was actually down on the replacements bench as a back rower. He started the top 14 game last weekend at number 8, but he's back into a more familiar position. Where he plays and how Toulon move things around, we will wait to see. But first things first, Glasgow have a penalty.
Yeah, they really need to get on the scoreboard immediately. It's the perfect start for them in this second half. An opportunity to kick one 5 meters out, and they really have to have way more accuracy at line-out time, drive this one over and give themselves a fighting chance, because 40 minutes is a long time in a game of rugby. And particularly with the changes that Toulon have suffered, there's no reason that Glasgow can't find a way to generate the momentum in their favour.
Lay on backwards off the head.
Not taken cleanly, but it did go backwards.
Advantage.
Killer for Glasgow. They have to get this errors out of their game.
Cancellieri kicking and hoping. And in the end, it was well taken by Cheslin Colby under a fair amount of pressure from Carl Steyn.
Just saying he was tackled in the air and just questioning whether foul play trumped everything else, but there was a penalty for at the line out that they're coming back for. Does really well, doesn't he, Colby? Just blocks the path of Steyn, positions his body between the Warriors wing and the ball. But another opportunity for Glasgow. They have to get this accuracy right. Key moments, you have to deliver on your set piece.
A bit of friendly fire, was it? One of his own players' boots caught him in the eye, brought out a little bit of claret. Quick magic sponge, good to go.
Mathieu Bastereau is definitely into midfield, so it's just a straight swap. Him for Duncan Paya-Awa in a position he knows very well.
He does, but you know, he's very much in the winter of his career. He hasn't played there consistently for a long time. It's got to be an area that Glasgow have to target. They've got to go after his lack of time and cohesion in units there. The fact that those 3 players in picture wouldn't have played an awful lot together. They certainly wouldn't have trained very often together. So if Glasgow are thinking clearly, they've got to try and make sure they get separation between them, get them making different decisions, and counter that. You've got to start with this line out, though.
Fraser Brown, how clean can this be? To Jack Dempsey at the front. Brown tucks himself back in. Olivant leading Toulon's defensive effort. He will have to break off and re-engage somewhere at the back of all that. Plenty of French voices, celebrating French voices. Very little is going right for Glasgow right now.
The problem with Glasgow's line-out drive at the moment is it's fractured. When they find a problem that they can't surmount together, a couple of players will break off, so they lose 3 of their own shirts to only 1 or 2 of the black shirts, and they've gone without, and there's not that clear plan for where they're working together to find those edges round the corner, find the weaknesses with Toulon. if they hit a brick wall, a couple of players panic and just try and find an easier route on their own, and they get swallowed up, turned over.
It's Cornel de Pree, South African born, but CV edged in tartan, over 100 games for Edinburgh. He's actually part of the team that lost in this final to Glasgow in 2015. There's Scotland caps that we've talked about, but Cornel de Pree at the moment doing a very good job for Toulon.
It's the 7th entry into the red zone for Glasgow, and still no points to show for it. Doesn't matter whether it's a final or any other game, that level of conversion is going to really hurt you. And it's very unusual because they're a clinical team. They're a team that tends to take their opportunities, but the lack of cohesion starting at set piece, penalty at scrum there, you know, their line out has been pretty much all over the shop. It hasn't improved dramatically in the second half, so lots of issues.
Line out, tap back by Olivon. West will go aerial. Smith tries to get underneath it, but he saw that Stain was in a much better position.
Nothing illegal.
Wayne Barnes says that Cheslin Colby was up to nothing illegal there. Vailanu, a little motorised bowling ball when he gets going. Glasgow just haven't been able to release him enough so far in this match. Smith trying to add some momentum. Just not had that snap that we've enjoyed so much from Glasgow over the course of this season.
Great carry from Tuipulotu, though. That's going to just breed a bit of confidence. The speed from the breakdown's been really good on this phase.
Defending from Parisse, he almost got stuck inside, but still managed to get outside to make an all-important tackle.
Ooh, Jones finds Tuipulotu and Dempsey, and now Stain with a little bit of room to manoeuvre, but he was hunted down by Juita Fanigolo. So you can see the penalty.
Ball down, please, Chesney. Entry, put your hands on, and then you
well there
switch
to
around.
beat Wanakolo on the outside, but managed to keep his feet in the field of play, drive off that left foot, make sure he's not tackled in, and then once they're in behind, here's the initial carry from Tuipulotu, runs into Bastro, sit down. As I said, the speed really good, and as he gets past here, he works off that left boot to get back in, and that creates Olivon a much harder target to attack, and he's adjudged to have gone in from the side, hands on the ball, and then swung his legs around.
Yeah, it's that initial entry point, isn't it? Olivon pleaded to the referee, now look at my final position. It wasn't about the final position, it was about the initial entry. Came in, knew what he was doing, slowed the ball down. Perhaps a penalty worth giving away, considering how much Glasgow struggled that line out time and how effective Toulon have been in their defensive play.
Early change in the Glasgow front row. Simon Bergen on for Xander Fagerson. 5 minutes into the second half, and change at hooker as well for Toulon. Teddy Bourbonnier says his goodbyes, and Christopher Tolofua is with us. Warm memories of a couple of Champions Cup wins when he was with Saracens, France international. And now lots of changes. Glasgow also bringing on Johnny Matthews, the replacement hooker. Nathan Macbeth coming on, so that's an entire front row. And this is Johnny Matthews, try-scorer extraordinaire this season, Matthews. 13 all in, including 5 against the Dragons. My goodness, Glasgow could do with one now, and they've made a change at scrum half as well. George Horn off for Ali Price, so Franco Smith not wandering and waiting.
Well, that's my fault, Nick. I think it's McDowell who's come on in at fly half for Miotti.
Once!
It is McDowell who's there, yep.
Which is also a strange omission considering the form that he's shown.
There's a ball, it's
in the last
available.
number of weeks.
Tuipulotu lays it back, and now maybe hope. Smith and Cancellieri just couldn't get the ball away under the best efforts of Colby. And it led to the knock-on, and moments of hope don't last long.
Yeah, I think Smith wants Cancellieri to stay out. He drops inside. Tuipulotu comes hard, and then the size and presence of McDowell into that wide channel, and just when Smith wants him just to stay a bit wider. It's really good defence. Treading water from Cheslin Colby, waiting for Glasgow to show their hand, but really, I think Smith wanted Colby just to be dragged out a little bit wider from Cancellieri.
Same again, mate.
See Rory Darge just packing
Crouch
down there. He's missed playing in big stadiums like this.
Bind
In the Six Nations, kept out by an ankle injury
Set.
at the start of the season, but he's got this important role to play now over, what have we got, another 30 odd minutes here in the
Control.
final. Glasgow just can't get a foothold at the
Well, the
moment.
new front row, they want to come on and change the picture from the referee, who thinks at the back of his mind that Toulon have been on top, so they go a little bit too hard and they drive too early and give away that free kick.
Off we go. Tuipulotu, a lot of hopping and then a lot of evading as Charles Olivon hunted him down. Cancellieri going into the grateful arms of Dani Priso. George Horn, who is still with us. Ali Price remains on the bench. This is Ihaya West, who joined us much earlier on. Dan Bigger. It's the
50-20 on.
head injury for Bigger.
Shot wasn't taken back, Ben.
Just leant backwards. He does everything, Cheslin Colby.
Good work, everyone.
It's really, really brilliant
just checked
from
it.
him, because the play broke down and there's nothing really on, and he comes against the grain of the attack, or the defence, I should say, and just nudges a perfect 50-22. Brilliant from Cheslin Colby. Initially, we saw a few minutes ago, really good defensive play, and that maybe not renowned for his kicking, but excellent, just keeping the ball going forward, keeping his pack happy.
And that one by Mattia Tongi.
No, not now, not now, too many.
Manoesi. A nod of the head to Friso before firing the ball towards him. Friso lays it back, and Cummings came in, couldn't gather it cleanly, so with this knock-on advantage.
No tackle. What was it for? High tackle, 6.
Brian, what have you got?
Yeah, just having a quick look at Cheslin Colby defensively, winger and fullback, but he buys his centre, Jeremy Senzel, enough time to be able to connect to him. He doesn't commit off to his winger. He has the 15 coming short, but also has an ability to be able to bounce out to Cancellieri as well, while his centre covers across, and then a man and ball tackle rips the ball out from the winger too. That is really top quality defence. He does a number of different jobs there, helping his substitute centre come in there, and then does the job himself of ripping the ball away and turning over possession.
Payog, first points of this second half, Toulon points.
Brilliant captaincy, absolutely spot on from Charles Olivon. Glasgow have been hitting them hard, they've been camped down in their own half for a long period. They win a penalty down at the other end. They drive the knife into the ribs of Glasgow by adding 3 more points and taking all that sting, all that raising confidence from Glasgow in the second half out.
Well, that's an interesting restart that didn't quite work. George Horn trying to mix things up. In the end, all he did was find Tongi, who draws it back, and so will Alano Essie.
Tackle, let go!
Against old mates, former Warrior. Printed T-shirts with his face on it back in the day when he was an adopted Glaswegian.
Tackle and away! 50-20 on.
Brilliant 50-22 option from Payog. Didn't quite get the bounce on that occasion, but we see scrum half so often around the halfway line, particularly when the ball's in the middle, trying to go for that 50-22 if wingers aren't covering the extremities.
Now Jones to Pelotu. Waningolo amongst those hopeful, and it's been won back. I think it was Payog who got onto the ball first of all, and all these little battles, the little big battles being won by Toulon at the moment.
How has Parisse won that on the floor and delivered the offload? Unbelievable.
Pastero. This time off his left boot, and that'll do. Big man, beautiful touch.
I tell you, the defenders were more than happy to watch that one being nudged through with the left foot rather than the carry initially. Brilliant tackle from Olivon.
Taken quickly. Olivon's there. Olivon scores.
Yeah, no worries.
Well, if Glasgow get their way back into this final, it's going to be some story. Right now, it's looking like a French story. And Toulon, sharp minds, get the fourth, look like they've done the job.
Yeah, Glasgow, their own worst enemies, because Olivon wasn't in a legal position if it hadn't been a quick throw, but because they took it quickly, the line-out wasn't formed, so he's entitled not to be back the 10 metres. He comes forward with the ball over the top. They try and beat them, try the element of surprise, but the line-out isn't already formed.
So
well, Dwayne Barnes just wants to check that.
Seven's either got to be in the line-out or he's got to be 10 metres.
Agree, so I'm going to show it to you.
Where it comes from.
So he is happy the line-out is formed.
So we look at the actions of Seven Black, whether or not he's on or offside.
Agree, we're going to show you a wide first.
Okay, so
there he is.
There's a line out from Blue, and he's beyond 15, so it is offside, no try.
Agree.
No try, offside.
Not part of the line-out. After the line-out had been formed.
A huge let-off. Johnny Matthews blowing a big sigh of relief.
He's only late to the line-out because he'd had such an incredible 90 seconds of work before that, and he was a little late to get there. Found himself in the wrong position, opportunist, but
14.
Wayne Barnes adjudicated
14.
that he wasn't in an onside position. And
14.
some badly needed respite and a few big sucks through the chest and through his nose to just calm the heart rate a little bit and get back into this next phase of play.
Ali Price is on. He's not on at scrum half, however. He's on for Sebastian Cancellieri. So Price in a position that we've seen him previously, looking like he's going to go onto the wing.
I think Horn's actually gone onto the wing, hasn't he? They've swapped.
Well, let's see how it settles down. Here goes Stay.
No tackle.
And now Dempsey. Acceleration from Glasgow. They've had a let-off. The try disallowed, the try that would have absolutely ended the story. The book not shut just yet. My goodness, what work Glasgow need to do over the remaining 25 or so minutes. It's Bergen.
And move. What's the 10?
Sucked up by Cummings.
Glasgow have to do a bit more of this through the guts. Toulon have been fanning out all day, expecting them to go wide. Well, they have to counter that by making sure they go in around the ruck. Drag them in there, make them secure the ball around the heart, and then they can attack them wide.
To Pelotu, and Jones tried to put it on his boot. It's been given as a knock-on. That was the way that Wayne Barnes saw it. Maybe that's what happened, but either way, Toulon will have possession.
Well, Colby's now fighting, but how he's got any energy left to fight, because again his defence in the last few phases has that sweeper in behind, but look, he gets dragged in here, but then he realises he can't compete, he has to get back out on the blind side. That creates the 3-on-3 rather than 3-on-2. Now watch that red hat behind and how hard he works back across the field, constantly as a sweeper. And who's the man that closes the gap right on the outside on that last phase? It's Colby coming from that position in behind the breakdown, closing the gate on the outside, and annoying Stein in the process.
Closer. Thank you. Okay, to the left, please. Just the left. To the left, please. To the left, please. Thank you.
There's Ali Price, who is absolutely now the bona fide scrum half. And in the meantime, George Horn, his 99th game as a Warrior that began as a scrum half, will end as a winger.
Bastro, there's only going to be one route here. He's standing. True fashion, we never get to see the outcome of what we call from scrum positions, but Bastro was standing where his 10 should have been, where he was going to carry directly into the Glasgow opposite number 10.
So tonight might be the night for Toulon, for all their glorious tales in the Champions Cup. It's a record, worst record in Challenge Cup finals. 24 loss for, but increasingly suspicious that that might change tonight. Meantime, however, still hope as Stein goes through. Stein will score. Still hope, provided by the skipper.
Well, there is a half degree of hope with the way that Glasgow play. If they can open this game up now, get one more score, the element of doubt will come from Toulon, but the little decoy move around the back of the line out, Stein waits, and he does so well because Alan Oasis takes out Price. He was hoping for the support back on the inside, the little show and footwork to knock Wainakolo off his balance, stop him being able to make the tackle, doesn't even get a hand on him, he aces him. What a finish that is. Now is the time. Can they get themselves back to one more score?
Well, he scored a try heading into the final 15 minutes of the URC quarter-final against Munster a couple of weeks ago. In the end, that offered false hope. What kind of hope might that try offer for Carl Stein and for Glasgow? Converted try would help. Job for George Horn. And it is a converted try. And all of a sudden, Glaswegian voices. Glasgow 7, Toulon 24.
Just a simple decoy movement round the back of the line out. Hooker comes, drags those defenders. They switch off a little bit. 3 players on 2 down that blind side. It's a really good pass and timing of pass from Rory Darge. And then Price just puts it through his hands and Stein does the rest. It's a really good finish from the big winger.
Mathieu Tongi has gone off for an HIA. And Facundo Issa is on. It doesn't get any better for Glasgow off the restart.
If you want a bit more space, you create that.
That's 9 handling errors for Glasgow against the 4 from Toulon.
Just to the left, just the right foot to
and
the
having
left.
all that good work now, just gifting red zone position. He's not done it on purpose. You won't want to see the replay again, but it is killing this Glasgow side tonight.
Crouch.
Again, Bastro playing nice and flat on West. Good likelihood of just getting him advantage line. Doing what he does well.
Here is Bastro from a standing start, feeds West. West to Colby, problems here. Wainakolo winding his way through, scoring. No doubt about that one. Toulon reasserting their dominance.
Cheslin Colby's acceleration as he gets that first hand on the ball, the power of that first step just opens up the defence. All those blue shirts panic with the pace that's drifting across the field, and the gaps between defenders open up. And there's not many other players you'd want cutting a line off Cheslin Colby than Wainakolo. They get the penalty, they've got the advantage. Bastro plays out the back now. Watch this acceleration and watch what it does to the defensive line. The holes open up. And he comes through 2 players. It's Ollie Smith, just gets pulled out slightly. Tui Pelotto does as well. And there's that disconnect that he finds between Tui Pelotto and McDowell. just the threat of pace and what it does to people. It's a really good tackle from Stein getting across, but the damage has already been done. And Wanakolo finds the gap through the line.
Payog's conversion drifts wide, but it's 29-7, and we're heading into the final quarter of this Challenge Cup final.
Thank you.
Yeah, we talk about switch plays the whole time with youngsters. Well, that was the perfect switch play because neither player thought about coming under. It just happened in front of them because of the acceleration from Colby and the natural instinct of Wanakolo to dip underneath.
Okay, not now. You're off your feet. You're off your feet.
George Horn threw himself into that chase. All in the end to naught. West and Colby can pick his spot and hoist it towards halfway. Stafford McDowell thought about going quickly, changed his mind.
Just to Ben's point, that acceleration from Colby, rather than thinking about a switch play, it just organically happened because of that acceleration. He didn't actually switch, he just ran a straight line, but look at that evasion of footwork. Now Glasgow won't be thrilled looking back on that. There's a number of missed tackles, but that is just pure creation. We've seen French teams for years running switch plays magnificently, never done better than that.
It's all play on, nothing illegal. Bye.
Dupree, high tackle.
12, grabbed him by the neck.
Well, if Glasgow
12.
and Glasgow supporters watching at home are compiling a list of frustrating things in this final so far, they've got onto a second page. It's been very frustrating.
Thanks, mate.
Which takes nothing away from the quality that Toulon have offered. They've made sure it's been frustrating for the Scottish team in their first ever European final.
There's a good balance to Toulon's play, isn't there? There's threats everywhere, threats at every time. Glasgow have carried into the breakdown, just a little bit isolated there. They brought Facundo Isa on. Absolutely outstanding player, really good over the ball. That forces the penalty, that gives them this field position. And very, very similar starting point from their last try.
No reason for them to change anything. They've gone to a drive on this occasion, but if you've had success from a play once, no reason not to go back to it.
They've got the penalty advantage again.
Tolofua. Jean-Baptiste Gros goes in. You'll notice that Kieran Brooks is with us as well. Bastereau, West. Once again, the threatening patterns that Toulon create, ball in hand. Most of all when this man's on the ball, Colby.
And away.
Payog. Ferguson working as hard as he could, but it's Wanakolo.
Just getting a bit narrow now. They need to get a little bit more width. Parisse is the one that's identified how tight they've gotten. That's why West had to go back inside, because he looked up for his winger and there was no one out there.
Arnoesi, West. Arnoesi again, away one-handed on the bounce to Naifalevu. Arnoesi.
And away.
It's relentless, patient stuff from Toulon. West, nice and flat to Tolofua. Scored 4, looking for 5. Parisse away quickly. Olivon keeps it alive. Ferguson again doing what he could to get over the ball, but there's just no way through. This is long bursting, tiring stuff defensively that Glasgow are having to deal with at the moment. Tolofua keeps it low. West, and then the burst from Naifalevu. Stretches, and their hands are as good as on the trophy.
Well, Glasgow just on the ropes there, weren't they? Punch after punch coming at them. The defence was admirable at times, but just that nice balance of play, the direct running. Cheslin Colby, we saw him just with a little bit of a stutter play the ball out the back, and then Nayathlavu coming straight, picking a shoulder of the second row. JP Dupree stepping out and in between Ferguson, and he dotched the ball down. But it was just wave after black wave. And when you've got that power, you just need to find an arm or a shoulder rather than a body. That far out, you're going to get over the line and reach and score.
He's trying to win this tournament for a second time. He was part of the Victoria Stade Francais side 6 years ago. He and Sergio Parisse, part of the team that beat Gloucester. And they're on their way to beating Glasgow here. 15 minutes to go, and look at the score. The 2 points added by 35-year-old Payog. Glasgow 7, Toulon 36. Couple of Glasgow changes in the second row. We just caught a glimpse there of Lewis Bean. He is on, so to Richie Gray for Dupree and Cummings. Lewis Bean, one last game for the club before he moves on. He's heading to France next season, playing for Montauban. Smith. Now McDowell. Back to Smith. New scrum half Ali Price. Just turned 30 and into a Challenge Cup final, not in the way that he would have hoped.
20 in the way.
Glasgow penalty against Mathieu Bastareaud.
Toulon did a brilliant job, but Bastareaud was a little bit lazy. He just stayed on the ground, didn't give access to the support players like referee Wayne Barnes would have wanted, but Toulon had stayed in the fight brilliantly well and had actually managed the turnover. But sharp word with
Sorry, mate, you've got him, or
his replacement, number 8, centre, after the game when they're celebrating.
Glasgow are having to make a change. Sebastian Cancellieri is coming back on. There he is, because Ollie Smith is heading off for an HIA. It's been the final of HIAs. Toulon in particular at half-time significantly affected by them. Glasgow picking them up as well. Ooh, seeing a little bit more there of Lewis Bean than we really needed to do on a Friday evening, but he drives Glasgow towards the try line, and Dempsey continuing to give it his best, and so too will Rory Darge. Oh, thought about
he's
going
fine,
quickly on his own.
the arm, but 7 isn't.
Goes against it.
Bump in the air.
Olivon, but Alan Acey jumping through there, but legal because the ball had been lifted and he played the arm rather than knocking the ball down. Glasgow player dropped it. They'll get another shot.
Matthews throw to the front, to Dempsey. Trying to narrow that gap even further. Touchline getting perilously close from a Glasgow perspective.
It's not the pace bend, is it, for the driving maul? That 2 jumper, you've got to have a bit of bravery, try and get it to 4 or 6. I know their line-out hasn't been functioning, but everyone's able to pile in from the back of the line-out to drive you towards that touchline.
Exactly, you can't join from the side, but if the throw's at the front, your angle's naturally going to take you that way. It's going to look a lot better for the referee. You can just barrel it into touch.
Glasgow,
equally,
move.
it's just been such an area of disappointment for Glasgow. Their driving mauls have just been a little bit fractured, a little bit not as a team.
Well, that's interesting, and this might work in Glasgow's favour. Taken by Dempsey, and then Darge, and over the top, and here's the try for the man who's only just come back on, Cancellieri. And now it's Toulon's turn to hand out a few gifts.
The recognition of where the space is you'd expect from a team that attacks like Glasgow. We haven't seen enough of it tonight. But on that turnover, the ball overthrown, not picked up by the players on that try line. And then as soon as they win that ball quick, there's only going to be one result, despite the pace of this Toulon back line. Two men overlap on the outside. Cancellieri doesn't need to use Stain, just slides in himself.
It's a still night. Oh, not quite. It remains 36-12. And in the meantime, farewell to Sergio Parisse. His dad, Sergio Senior, died last month. He said that he would carry him onto the pitch with him tonight, and he's carrying him off as well. Smile on his face, trying the locker. One of the great careers nearing its end. And he's going to end his European career as a Challenge Cup winner, it would seem. Unless. It'll be just about the greatest 10 minutes of rugby you'll ever watched if Sergio Parisse is not to end his European career as a winner. What can Hugh Jones and co do? There's Bergen. His final game for the club after a couple of seasons. One of those who's heading elsewhere. Loose ball. The higher west. And Stain losing out, but now Jones chasing hard, and look at the hooker, Johnny Matthews as well. It's Colby, and Colby just gave it absolutely everything to get it over the dead ball line. Happy to concede the scrum.
Yeah, it's a really good option from Glasgow. It's going to be very difficult for them to run the length of the pitch. It was an excellent box kick initially.
One stop, Ali.
From Ali Price. Stain got up in the air and competed. The Ohio West didn't get good access to where it was coming down. They got the turnover. Neither man actually managed to get it, but he got in his eye line enough to be able to create confusion, and then it's about picking up scraps. Took a little knock in the air.
Cheslin Colby has entertained us regally this evening, but if you had one thing to say about him, it's that he's not just the try scorer. He's contributed so much from fullback tonight, which may or may not be his best position, but he's been everywhere.
Okay, blue ball. Melee blue. Let's do the left. Thank you.
Last Nice-Levo try. I don't know if we're going to have an opportunity to see it again, but he had three key moments in the build-up to it. Three different roles. Soft little pass to Aluanese, and then he went in a scrum half, and then he secured possession to make sure there was no turnover ball. He is the all-round, all-court player. It's going to be vital to South Africa if they're going to defend their World Cup later on this year in France.
Stafford McDowell.
Ball is out.
Now standing behind that scrum, and Tuipulotu head down and running into Bastareaud, and Bastareaud drags him back. It's laid back by Tuipulotu. No way through. Price will regather. Dempsey.
Penalty
into
advantage,
the final
Ali.
10 minutes with the advantage. Bergen. Tuipulotu. Away by McDowell, and here's Cancellieri. Player of the season, the Argentina winger. Lewis Bean.
Key to get away with that extra roll on the ground.
A step to evade the attempted tackle from Tolofua. And once again, Cancellieri absolutely nailed by Colby. Ball goes backwards, so therefore still Glasgow ball. Oof. Price whips away the cut. He's done it again. not content with just one nailing, he's done him twice.
Oh, hello. That's all. Picked off. I don't think Cancellieri thought much of those hits that came in.
Stay on them. Yeah. Okay.
Just from that blind side, Cancellieri
Cancellieri
can't see him coming, and his timing is just spot on. This is the first one. This is huge. Two-man overlap. He shuts the gate. No chance of him getting the offload away. Goes higher, hits the ball so that that ball can't be spread straight through the hands, and then immediately back up again and makes the tackle.
Hey, Jay. Okay, need to replace it. Replacement, we've got an injury for number 3, needs to come back on, please, but we've got a high tackle. What stop, please?
It's actually amazing to think
Okay,
he's
let's
only
just
got
get the
23
replacement
South African caps. Feels as though in all of those test matches he's had huge moments, and I suppose when you do it at the biggest stage in a World Cup final, immediately catapults you into legendary status, irrespective of how many games you've played for your country. But
Right,
he seems to have delivered in
done.
European competitions over the past number of years, for Toulouse initially and now for Toulon.
Won by Ferguson.
No, no. Once, Ali!
Has to give it up. In the middle of all that, fighting hard. So too Dempsey. Price, Jones. What of this moment? Oh, over the top from Horn. And work to do for Stein, and he just gets there. Well, let's not build this up into something that it isn't. But Glasgow are making it interesting. The gap is still enormous, but they're making it interesting.
All the Glasgow fans want is for their team to stand and fight for everything right up until the final minute, and they're going to do that. A little bit slow. Toulon have got a little bit sloppy in terms of their work rate away from breakdowns, and you cannot do that against the side with the handling ability and pace in the wider channels of Glasgow, and Stein does really well to bounce through 3 tackles, find his way to the line. Of course, we think the game's gone, but they are not going to go down without a fight.
Horn's conversion, this time gets it right. 36-19.
I think Cheslin Colby had eyes on another big collision, but he got caught in no man's land because there was an additional pass thrown in there, and he found himself in an uncomfortable spot of neither being able to read the ball through or to fend down onto the last man. Good footwork by Stein to check back inside and strength to power through. He hasn't given up. Really impressed with this guy over the course of the last number of months. Been very effective for Scotland, and now really turning up today in very, very tough circumstances as an outside back.
Great. He played his part in that try.
Tackle, let go!
Dean.
Maul!
It's going to be gummed up by Toulon. Says an awful lot, I think, Brian, about the character and personality of Carl Stein, that a winger is skipper. Took over the season from Ryan Wilson and Fraser Brown. It's not an obvious position from which to lead your side.
No, it's not. It's a difficult place to have an impact on a game. I obviously did it for a long time as a 13. I actually spoke to Kyle at the start of the year. He rang me and asked for my experience of how to deal with referees. Obviously, captaincy is not just about the 80 minutes on a Saturday. It's about everything that goes on throughout the week. But how do you have maximum impact with referees when you are out on the field? A lot of it is about having a big voice in the forwards and not being seen to be running in for every decision that the referee comes up with. That you pick and choose your moments, quiet words at key times. But I they just never really got going today for him to have had any relationship with the referee.
Another scrum splintered. Sanzel ran in hope. He was a Champions Cup winner last season with La Rochelle, Jeremy Sanzel. He's going to be a Challenge Cup winner with Toulon 12 months later. Less than 5 minutes to go. We're going to have another scrum. Who is our star of the match, Benny? Your job to make.
Well, the emotional decision would have been to give it to that man, Sergio Parisse, and he had a good game, but I don't think he was quite the best player on the field. Olivon's led absolutely superbly and had another amazing game. I think Serran, if he'd stayed on the field, certainly would have been contending for the player of the match, but for me it's been standout, mainly because of his defence and how he stopped this Glasgow famed attack from being able to operate tonight. Cheslin Colby is our Challenge Cup player of the match.
Crouch.
In the meantime, Glasgow's fullback Ollie Smith has come back on, having passed his HIA. Sebastian Cancellieri has wandered back off, having scored his try and taken a
balance, please.
couple of nailings from
your foot might be stuck, you're not balanced.
Cheslin Colby is being sat in behind this scrum. A nightmare scenario for any defender defending out left. You have to anticipate with him as first receiver out there, you just give him a one-on-one or even a two-on-one.
Set. Advantage.
Toulon with so much Champions Cup history, finally going to bag a Challenge Cup tonight, and they're looking to finish it in the grand style. West takes it to ground. Tyog once more with Macbeth doing what he can to slow things up. Facundo Issa, Argentina test player off the bench, and West takes it with his right hand, might spin away with his left, scores! And all those years of Champions Cup glory reheated on a Friday night in Dublin in the Challenge Cup. Once again, and for the first time in a long time, the first time in 8 years, it'll be Toulon lifting European tin.
Well, almost the entire Toulon side was stood behind that ruck, hiding, not playing their hand, not showing Glasgow which way they were going to run. And at the last minute, they all swept to the right. Just watch how many black shirts are behind this ruck. Now they go. They leave it late. And that means there's a 5-on-3 on that outside when the West initially picks up that ball, and he just keeps running, waiting for someone to fly out of the line and make his pass option for him. No one does. They all back off, and they back off too far, and West slides in himself.
It's going to be a good night for the Toulonnais. And the higher West, who came on very, very early for Dan Bigger, who took a blow to the head. And the conversion from Bayog. And it feels like the old days. An Italian scarf round by his waist. I think it might be for Sergio Parisse. Clear that we're not going to see him at the World Cup, but plenty still left in Toulon's tank, and Naif Alevu tanking his way through. Waningolo, Tyog into the final 10 seconds. Colby can finish it whenever he wants, milking the moment, and there's the moment. It's been a long time for Toulon, a long time in between drinks, but it is Toulon who are European winners again. Toulon who've won the Challenge Cup. And it's a fitting end to the European road for Sergio Parisse. Charles Olivon, the skipper, will help lift the trophy. And the disappointment for Glasgow is that they were never really in the contest. They got a few more punches away in the second half, but that's about as much as you could say for them. Into a first European final, but the wait goes on for first European trophy success. Final score in Dublin, and in the end it's a big win, a comfortable win for Toulon, who are winning again. Toulon have won it by 43 points to 19.
That's so disappointing for Glasgow and their fans, having played such attacking rugby all year, to not be able to bring it to the final. We saw glimpses of it towards the end, but it wasn't to be too much too late. Fitting that Toulon, with the way they played, particularly in that first half, have gone out in style with those scores at the end. Parisse getting that European prize towards the end of his career, and deserved winners. Very, very impressive display.
As impressive as Toulon were, Glasgow were equally disappointing. If the truth be told, they rarely fired a shot, and that scoreline might suggest to people that see the result after the fact that they were in it at one point. Well, that was never really the case. Toulon were in total control from very early in this encounter, and it was just the range of their game, their ability to play multiple ways, physical up front. They won the collision zone, and then they allowed for their X factor to deliver key moments at important times, and they took advantage of some really sloppy Glasgow lineouts in particular, and really made them punish.
And that's it this season for Carl Steyn and for Glasgow. Their interest in the URC was ended in the quarterfinals by Munster at Scotstoun a couple of weeks ago. Fourth place finish, however, means they will be in the Champions Cup next season. And I'm sure there'll be lots of people here, lots of supporters back home, who will reflect on the fact that they are in the Champions Cup next season, and will reflect on the fact that they have covered some ground over the course of this season under Franco Smith.
The other thing, don't underestimate what playing experiences like this, playing in finals, does for you as a team when you want to go to that next level, when you want to go to a team that is competing in the back end of the season. Yes, there'll be a massive scar this to them, but that's the sort of scar that they'll take into battle in years to come, and they'll hopefully find a way over the line and become the success that they all want to be.
Crikey, Brian, you had to do that with Leinster. It took some time before all of that blue and white glory.
And all of that adds up. All of that builds up. You've got to build a reservoir of having a chip on your shoulder from different aspects, of being discounted, of not getting the media coverage, of using those final moments of big games that you haven't managed to pull through. Pull all of that together, pool it together for your next opportunity at European title or out of domestic league. And they're obviously a relatively new team under Franco Smith, but there's a huge wealth of experience of Scottish internationals littered throughout this team, so the capabilities are there. They just need a bit more cohesion in the biggest games. Disappointing loss to Munster in the quarter-final of the URC, and now a champion or a Challenge Cup final loss. You got to use all of that in the following season or account for nothing.
Yeah, in the end, Glasgow were undone by Toulon and all of their stars, and no bigger star than our star of the match today, the World Cup winning, Challenge Cup winning, Cheslin Colby. He's with us.
Yeah, he was good, wasn't he? Cheslin Colby, massive congratulations. Challenge Cup champions 2023. How does that sound? Sum up the emotions for us.
No, definitely amazing. Just first of all, I just want to thank God for this lovely opportunity to just be back on the field, shared with my teammates, all the supporters that came out from Toulon to support us tonight. Just for everybody in the stadium as well, thank you so much, and just God bless to everyone.
Because you've obviously lifted the Champions Cup with Toulouse, but you were part of this final last season. So to come back here this term and win it, does it mean even more?
Yeah, Toulon has been in a few finals, and we just came second off all the time, and we just didn't want the same feeling that we had last year in the changing room. And this week has been incredible. All the management, our families that supported us, just gave everything and sacrificed everything for this week. We came in earlier to Ireland with one goal and just to give our best on the field and represent this jersey with pride. And the boys did really well. I'm super honoured to be here and super proud of the boys tonight.
You've definitely represented it with pride. Glasgow today didn't want to get dragged into your game. So for you guys, what was the challenge? Because at times out there, you made it look easy during that 80.
Yeah, Glasgow is definitely a wonderful team. They've been incredible throughout the season with Coach Frankie Smith. I know him quite well. He's a team that loves to play with the ball, and for us was just to make sure that we don't give them those opportunities on the field. And I must say we did quite well tonight. So yeah, as I said, I'm really proud of the boys for each and every one with the early injuries we had and the boys that came up early into the match too.
And you've got another watch to add to the collection. Player of the match tonight. You worked so hard, Cheslin, this evening, especially in defence. You were like a man possessed out there. What does playing on a European stage in this competition mean to you as a player?
Yeah, for me, every final is a massive honour, and I'm sure each and every player can justify that. We wanted to leave everything out there because we knew that's all up to us. We put in the hard work throughout the week, and this is not just for me, it's for the whole team. So I'm just grateful, not for me to stand here, but for the boys that made it easy for us as a backline.
Thank you for your time, Chaz, and go and enjoy it with your teammates. Well done.
That's the easiest 3 minutes I've ever had. See you in a bit, extra million, Dad.
Yeah, it isn't the glorious end to the Glasgow careers. The likes of Ryan Wilson, who is leaving at the end of the season. Sam Johnson, midfielder, on the list of leavers as well. Fraser Brown still very much involved. He's just extended his contract this week. The likes of Stafford McDowell just starting to bang on the door of Test match rugby. He's been named in Gregor Townsend's summer squad that'll get together ahead of the World Cup. And Ollie Smith as well. I'm sure that there are lots of you at home looking for reasons to be cheerful. The scoreline doesn't give you much, but there's still plenty. Wayne Barnes as well. Congratulations to Wayne Barnes, third time in charge of this final, which means that he draws alongside Jerome Garces and Nigel Whitehouse, whose son was the TMO today. Ben Whitehouse has got his medal safely pocketed away in that smart jacket. So the real stars of the show largely speak with French accents. Parisse will lead them up. They're doing this in numerical order, so even somebody like Ben will be able to work out who's who. It's after one, Benny.
Keep going with that. You won't be able to get past one in a minute.
There's Becca Gigash, Lily, who was one of their best players in the semi-final and really played his part. There's Brian Alano-Essie. All those memories of him in a Glasgow shirt charging around. They were great days. And also Cornell de Prier in Scotland caps. Toulon via Worcester in the end. And the great Sergio. Say a few words about Sergio Parisse, Brian, somebody who was up there in the great gathering of test caps like you.
I think if you look at many supporters and fans, best 15 over the course of the last 20 years, he would be a regular fixture in that. In a team internationally that was more often than not on the back foot, he still managed to deliver performances and moments of magic consistently. And then in European competition, already a winner of this tournament with Stade Francais 6 years ago. But for his longevity and his ability to still have huge impacts on big games like this, like he played today, is testament towards his skill level, but also his fitness and his mental aptitude, that he's still willing to put all that hard work in the pre-seasons. And when you're dealing with guys that are 20 years younger than you, that could be your son, and are on a completely different, speaking in a different social capacity, you still are able to stay with them and enjoy their company. And that's a component that many older players struggle with, that there's just a disconnect from them and some of the younger breed coming through. But to get to where he has and the career that he's had is remarkable, and it feels fitting that he should close it off with a trophy, and maybe he'll even get one arm on this trophy with Charles Ollivon.
We made our test debuts seven months apart, and one of us have really let themselves go. But this will make up for it for him.
Sergio will get over it. Now, who is Charles Ollivon calling over? He's calling everybody over. Anybody who lives in Toulon and is in Dublin is pretty much in this photo. And all those names who did all those great things a few years ago, and now this. Toulon back in the European Cup winning business, back in the business of collecting bits of silver. Congratulations to Glasgow and all they've achieved this season. But the 2023 Challenge Cup champions are Toulon.